Welcome back to the Marketing Madman. Nick Constantino and Tripp had a sudden flare-up of a disease I won't talk about right now. So I'm hosting the show. So we got James and Amar from Wolf and Spirit, and let's talk luxury, because I think this is one of the most understood, hard things to nail when you're talking about marketing or a product launch, right? So to be a true luxury brand, your separation from the mid-tier has to be pronounced, clear, and the delta has to be big enough for people. So give you an example. When we had the last great recession, and this could even be COVID to some extent, when things really hit the fan, steakhouses were fine, McDonald's was fine, Applebee's got screwed. That mid-level tier, because those people traded down, right? The Ruth's Chris people didn't trade to Applebee's. They stayed with Chris. So how do you nail that delta? How do you establish yourself as a luxury good whose price is justified? Because at the same time, you're also closing the amount of people you're reaching with your market share. So I'm sure you guys have had in-depth discussions. I'm sure your experience at the hotel, This is all this was about, right? How do you nail that? And again, if you guys give me the best answer in the world, I'm going to steal it and use it, because nobody gets this right on the first try. Talk about your plans to nail that delta between that luxury brand, because it is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, and I think you hit it right on the head with the restaurant during COVID. I think another category you see it is automobiles right now. You've seen this happen there too. They've either gone luxury. You see really like, what do you see in your base model now? I mean, it's all the bells and whistles. You're like, everything is luxury. Everything had to step it up, or they're gone. Yeah, we've seen the brands go that have been around forever. Yeah, so it happens. And so, what's most important is your integrity of your brand. Right, and putting your money where your mouth is. Right, and really, like I said, it's going the extra mile,
not cutting corners.
Putting the time and effort into the details that are really important that most people don't take the time to do. They don't want to waste time doing it. No, you have to put that in there. Taking the time to understand your consumer. Yeah, right?
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the avatar. So who is the guy? So you could talk for Chicago because you guys are just getting to Atlanta, but who is the person? What is their job? What does their family life look like? Who is that consumer you're looking after? Who is that avatar?
I think it's a wide range. I think it can be any age demographic. It's a person that likes. I'm trying to think of the right word.
So first off, I think the experience is important, right? You're not drinking to just sit at your house and drink whiskey, because anybody can do that. So this is experiential. So they're either having friends over, they're entertaining, or like them and their wives have date night where they spend all this time cooking. They're not just going to sit there and drink whiskey out of a bottle. I'm not saying that's what I do on a Saturday night, but it's completely what I do on a Saturday night. But anyway, it's experience. That's the thing.
The person that appreciates higher quality and that really has an appreciation for things that are of higher quality, right? Yeah, and they're willing to spend the money on those.
So I'll give you an example, right? A Patek Philippe costs $250,000. Tells time the exact same way that a $6 Timex does, right? You're not buying a Patek Philippe because you need to tell accurate time, because a $6 watch can do that, phone can do that. You're doing it because you appreciate the engineering, and it is worth something to you, the thought, time, and effort that went into building something, and the pedigree and heritage that built.
Exactly.
So that customer. So I'm assuming, like you said,
it's the brand history.
Say what it's worth. A Ford and a freaking Mercedes are different things, right? No one's going to ever compare those things. You're buying a Mercedes, and to be honest with you, the highest level Ford and the entry level Mercedes are probably really similar, but there's no name pedigree behind a Ford. You're buying a Mercedes because you want those things. So,
and it's like it's the nuances. I mean, and everything I enjoy very many things, and I think it's a product of being at the Langham, and putting the attention to like the details that you wouldn't even take the time, because it's called anticipatory service, right? So it's like this perfect thing is happening, and you're like, everything's perfect, and you don't know why, but you're like, every time I go there, it just feels good, and everything.
Because they're working their asses off.
But
to
nothing
make it that
stands
way.
out in particular. It just is.
But if it stood out to you, then it wouldn't be the same experience. The fact that they're catching you off guard with it is what makes it such a powerful.
Well, so like that's Forbes 5-star, right? So as a Forbes partner, and I worked closely with Forbes. They would come in, I would train with them. They called us their partners. That's how it's all in the language. It's how they speak to you, right? They say, you guys are our partners, right? And this is as a guy that was behind the bar who was like, when I would tell my family, my aunts, my uncle, I had an uncle that would give me a hard time. I'd be like, I'm a bar, I'm doing this mixology. He's like, yeah, okay, you're working behind a bar. And I'm like, not taking it to, and then you got the guy at Forbes telling you, you're my partner.
Yeah.
We care about
which
how well
carries
you do your
which
job.
carries a name pedigree.
Yes.
The Forbes
Oh,
name,
yeah.
for what it's worth, is still one of those names that is associated with the luxury lifestyle and what you're talking about.
I mean,
right?
Within 5 minutes of you sitting down in my bar, I have 60 points that I need to touch in order to pass the test. So like I'm getting your name, I'm using your name 3 times. I'm putting, and all the while, you don't even notice it's happening.
Yeah.
It's effortless, and that's the magic of it all, right? So now we want to take that and we want to apply it to everything we do. That's what I try to apply that to everything I do.
A good way to say it is that when you spend money on something that justifies the price, you feel like it's worth the value in which it is. So that's a big thing, right? Value versus price, right? Price is never a conversation. It's the value that's provided. You are providing value, especially if we start talking about putting this bag in this thing, this bottle's out on a store, you're checking all the boxes, it's curated, it's already done for you. The price is irrelevant. It's the value in which you're providing. When you stay at the Langham Hotel, it's not the price that you paid, it's the value in which you're providing. The services you offer, it is the value.
Details within that service.
You have people that are like, take my money, I want to go, like, and you have people that go there for a staycation because they can. It's expensive to stay there. It is. I couldn't do it if I wanted to. You know, like it's a special occasion you're doing that. So it's like people are willing to do that though because they know they're going to go there and they're going to leave there and they're going to be happy. It's very common nowadays.
Yeah,
it's the details of the service that make it exceptional. I saw you pick up the cinnamon stick. You know how many different types of cinnamon that we use in a sous vide to make one of the cordials? Almost 5 or 6.
Wow. And
different types of cinnamon.
Yeah. But unfortunately, there's a million people in the world that don't even know that there's more than one.
100%. And it's these details you just don't know about.
There's one that's not actually even cinnamon. There's 2 categories. Yeah. One that we're eating regularly that's not actually cinnamon. But that's another story.
I think one of the things I've learned is these are things that you age into, right? It's akin to, I made it in a previous show, but like, when I was 22 years old, I shopped at H&M, right? Because it's fast fashion. But then I realized that piece of crap shirt was broken 2 days later, and if I had just bought a $50 shirt, it would have lasted longer, and the value would have been there. You understand value proposition.
Timelessness is important.
Timelessness, you age into these things, right? I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. My time socially is so minimal that I will put more money to my social time because I'm chasing freaking kids around all the time. You age. I think you age and you mature into these things, and you change your drinking habits and your patterns.
Oh yeah. So who you spend your time around to, and where the direction that you're and how serious you take yourself and the people that you surround yourself with. But also, like, the brand story is extremely important, and the connection that you can have with your audience through your brand story.
And you can't fake it.
No,
too many people try to fake. Too many people try to make, and liquor is the worst. Oh, I mean, if you read the story of some of these bourbons, like, this was the 3rd cousin of Jack Daniel's second aunt, and he was a slave, but his mother was a seamstress, and she made the first ever bottle of bourbon. I go, what the hell does that have to do with anything that I'm drinking? But
because they think it's relevant, right?
They think it's relevant, but it's so fake. That's not a real story.
What they do is they go down and they find a distillery or whatever they're using, and they're buying that.
Right,
and they're using the
history.
They'll use the history of that distillery, say it's 200 years old, and to say this brand is 200 years old.
This tequila is 500 years old, and Montezuma used it. No, all tequila comes from the same place. Like, it's legal. It's a law.
But the brand story is very, very important, and with Wolf and Spirit, the wolf is representative of a survivor, which is what we were going to do during COVID, no matter what. I was furloughed. It was like,
love it.
Time was going by. My wife and I were like, we were riding bikes a lot, and then it was like, we're still riding bikes a lot, and we're not going back to work. And I remember having this, I was riding one day, and I'm thinking, this is just going to be life. Like, this is what we're going to do. And I'm like, I can't do just this.
And that's how it came to fruition, because he was there. And during COVID, I was working 18-hour shifts at the hospital. I was draining my life. And I took a couple-day vacation, went to Chicago to see some family.
And how you introduced
I met up with him. I saw the bottle, and I was like, what is this?
So step back. Amar and I have known each other since we were 17 or 18 years old.
Wow.
We didn't see each other for a decade.
Oh, my God.
He comes to my house with a really good friend, mutual friend of ours.
Ricky.
And I show him this. And then he
My
continued to
mind
call me
just went
about it.
all
That's how
over.
I knew that this is going to be a good partnership right there. I'm like, I'm at a point where I was working so much because they brought me back to work, and so this kind of got shelved. And I'm like, I need help. And the fact he was calling me, like, let's do this. I want to help you. I want to do it. So this is
the leap of faith.
Fast track a year and a half later, look where we're at. Like,
the leap of faith.
We're here talking to you.
So talk about Spirit. So we got Wolf. Talk about Spirit.
Yeah, so the Spirit is it's a play on the words, but obviously there's a spirit in there. But it's just the spirit of the brand, you know. But it's also a play on the words, and so the Spirit is the drive that we have to continue to put an effort into making sure that we keep our quality of standards at the highest level.
Yeah, I get it. A spirit's almost what fills the bottle, right?
Yeah.
The wolf is the driving force. The spirit is almost what fills it. When you think about a person, you're just a shell. The spirit. Damn, that was pretty good, huh?
Wolf is,
I just
the
wing
wolf
that one.
have you ever seen a wolf go hungry? It doesn't do it.
No, it
they
doesn't.
survive. They eat.
Doesn't do it.
They provide. They do what they got to do, no matter what. And listen,
And they don't bother themselves with the people around them. They're not worried about what's happening around them. All right, so we got about a minute left. So talk about what people should look for, where they're going to find you, where to find information. Do we have social handles? Are we getting the prime pump? Talk about where people can look to find you guys.
Yeah, so we do for our socials. We're Wolf and Spirit. For Instagram, I'm not sure. I think there's a Facebook.
It's across the board.
Okay, across
Wolf
the
and
board.
Spirit.
Just Wolf and Spirit. You can start to we want to. The off-premise is going to be our first approach. So start to look for us. I'm sure it's going to be. But it's going to be in Atlanta when we launch it here. So
but you did make a point to, tailgating. So we are going to make a strong effort to, meet up with colleges and these tailgating parties and groups, as well as golf courses and,
Smart. That's where you want to be, man.
Yeah, I mean, we just want to get out there and activate, and get out there and be around people and like I said, get the product in.
And you might see me standing outside of Tongue and Groove handing out bottles, so
There you go. That'll do it. All right. Well, guys, I appreciate it. They've been wonderful. Both cocktails that I had, and I probably have another one, have been wonderful. You've been listening to The Marketing Amendment on Extra 106.3, and we will catch you next week.